Hello, I'm your host, Leonard Duncan. Welcome to a new episode of ATV-TALK, a motorsports podcast. Please join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We bring you interviews with industry professionals, live events, live news about the motorsports industry in every episode. Enjoy the show. Whether we are out riding with our friends and family or racing in extreme environments, we all need good tires. That's why I recommend GBC Power Sports Tires, a division of Greenball Corp. Their products, which include XC Master, Mini Master, and Groundbuster 3, are what leading professionals in the ATV-UTV industry are using. You can get your tires at greenballtires.com or find them on Instagram as GBC Tires for further inquiries. Are you looking for the best suspension technology for your sport ATV? Look no further than Elka Suspension, the industry leader in sport ATV suspension technology. With championship wins in prestigious events such as the Dakar Rally, SCORE, Best in the Desert, ATV MX, Cross Country, and Works, Elka Suspension has established itself as the go-to choice for athletes and enthusiasts alike. But they don't just stop at ATVs. They're constantly expanding into new markets, including UTVs, trucks, SUVs, pit bikes, snowmobiles, and more. Their commitment to innovation and quality means they're always looking to improve and adapt so you can enjoy a smooth ride wherever you go. Want to learn more about what Elka Suspension can do for you? Visit their website at elkasuspension.com or give them a call at 450-655-4855. They will always be happy to answer your questions and help you find the perfect suspension solution for your needs. Welcome to DBR Racing Products, the leader in 3D modeling and innovations. Since 2015, they have been revolutionizing the industry, starting with their groundbreaking YFZ 450R battery boxes. But they didn't stop there. They have continued to push the boundaries, constantly improving their design with each new version. In 2018, they introduced the game-changing Vortex EXO cage, specifically designed to securely hold the Vortex ECU in a safe and sturdy location. This breakthrough innovation ensures your ECU stays protected even in the toughest racing conditions. At DBR, they understand that every detail matters. That's why they also offer an array of essential products to enhance your racing experience. Their spark plug hold downs keep your engine firing at peak performance, while their LTR breather boxes ensure optimal ventilation for your machine. Their LT250 engine skid plates are a must-have for those seeking unmatched protection. Engineered to shield your engine from impacts and rough terrain, they provide the ultimate defense for your ATV. But that's not all. They've developed ProPeg mounts that allow you to use TRX 450R Nerf bars, giving you greater control and maneuverability on the track. To explore their full range of innovative products and learn more about DBR Racing, visit their website at www.dbratv.com. You can also reach them directly at 507-828-1233. Their knowledgeable team is ready to assist you with any questions or inquiries. DBR Racing Products, where innovation meets performance. Unleash the power within you. Cris, morning. Welcome to ATV Talk. How are you, brother?
Doing good.
Hey, you text me some information, saying that you were interested, and since then you and I have had multiple conversations. I just want to say thank you so much for the interest. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this is I've been listening to the show since the beginning, and it's been very good. So,
well, I try to keep it open and honest. Like today, we're running a little behind. I appreciate you working with me, but there's no script.
No,
You
Nope,
know,
just winging it.
and that's the best way, right?
You bet. It's genuine that way.
Well, it may not be the best way when you're planning to build something, but you know, we're doing it a little different to find out about you and to find out about your company. The best way is to wing it because I want to ask you questions about how did you get into ATVs?
So it goes back early 90s. My grandparents had three-wheelers. And I was always too young to ride them, but my older brother would take me with on the back, and we'd get into all kinds of trouble. So, and then my dad got a Yamaha Moto 4 250, a 91. And just naturally I rode it like a bat out of hell. So, jumped the thing all over the place and took it. We had a county park that had some really steep hill climbs, and that thing wasn't the greatest for hill climbs, and rolled it down the hill several times, and good stuff. And then that park got closed down, and there wasn't much to work, many places to ride, and so we naturally went racing. So, and because it just seemed like there was more opportunity every weekend to ride that way. So,
what portion of the country are we talking?
I'm in Minnesota, so I started racing out in South Dakota because I was real close to South Dakota, and the Sioux Valley Cycle Club. Started racing in 2002, and basically raced pretty much full time until 2010, and then I retired to concentrate on my powder coating business. So
let me ask you this: you live in the frozen tundra.
Oh yeah.
How do you race?
I don't like winter at all. I usually don't. I sit in my garage and build stuff in the winter. Never been ice racing. Used to ride in the, as a kid, I'd ride in the winter and stuff just because it's something to do in the winter to break up the monotony. But other than that, I didn't do any indoor stuff really. We did a few, and then they got closed down, and it wasn't, nothing ever very steady. So yeah, it's naturally spring and summer and fall were our times to ride. So,
and that's all 3 months.
3 months. And it just seems like it's always, we haven't hardly rode it all this year. It went from being super wet to super hot, and then the weeds grow up on the tracks, and yeah, it's hard. There's no in between. So
no, because my picturing of your area of the world is ice and snow.
pretty much. So yeah, we get a few months of good riding, but August and stuff, it's about like Tennessee here, so it gets nasty. So we're all hot and humid. And
well, dude, we're like in the hundreds, so hot to us is
yeah.
it's a different thing. I mean, I know Loretta Lynn's hot humid is, you can barely breathe sometimes, but
yeah,
it doesn't stop anybody from racing.
No, they just drink lots of water.
Back before we knew you were supposed to drink a lot of water.
Right. Sometimes beer.
Well, whatever it takes to get the job done, right?
Yep.
So you started what? Motocross, cross country? What do you guys
Motocross.
Motocross.
Yep. Motocross. Yep. That was pretty much I pretty much raced motocross till about 07, 08. And then started racing a local supercross series. I liked the tight technical stuff, and big triples and stuff like that. I liked that better than motocross, and it could go in there and get it done a lot quicker than being gone for the whole weekend and stuff. I just like that atmosphere. I like being at the track, but I also like being at home too. So it's so naturally I did that 07, 08, 09, and then 2010, and then I kind of retired for a little while. So, yeah, motocross, jumping was my main thing. I've done some TT racing as well. Not a whole lot, but for some reason, I don't know why I didn't gravitate more to TT. I really like that stuff. I like the setup, aspect of it. So
that there's a whole art form to it that those guys are super specialists at it, just like sprint cars.
Yep.
They have a technique to them that you have to do it to understand it. And I know this much,
Yeah. Yep. Same here. And that's why I've always liked it, because I have a respect for the guys that do it, and just because of all the setup and prep that goes into it. It's not just throw some slicks on in a sway bar and go racing. It's not anything like that.
Correct. You're weighing the machine, you're doing all kind of measurements and measuring tires and tire pressures, and the guys that do it every day are thinking, oh yeah, you guys don't know what you're talking about. This is you're making it sound harder than it is. Well, for us it is harder. For those guys that do it every day, come race a desert race, dude, and you'll think, oh my God, this is terrific. No, this is cake. You just have to set it up right, just like a TT track or a motocross track. It's all in how you prep it and what you're used to.
And I think in motocross, in the amateurs and stuff, I think you can get away with not as much prep. But TT is so specialized that you have to be on point. Otherwise it just doesn't work for you. So
yeah, because I don't think that you can take a guy that's a just super fast rider and put him on an average machine and expect him to outperform a setup machine with an average guy is going to be faster.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because the machine's gonna, in the track, the moisture in the track changes. Then you got to change tires and sway bar settings and everything, and it's an art, like you said. So
Shane Hitt told me 11 sets of shocks.
Oh yeah, I can believe it.
11. I can't even fathom that.
Yeah,
we had 2, sometimes 1.
Yep, 1 set.
Yeah, and I mean we're adjusting it, and that's it. I mean,
most of the time I ran PEP, so I'd be adjusting the ZPS and just moving ride heights a little bit just to get a different feel. And then it's like, oh boy, hopefully that works.
Right? That's too funny. So you said in 2010 you slowed your racing down to take care of your powder coating business. Were you doing big industrial stuff or a lot of small stuff?
Both, mainly big industrial. Car chassis, we did a lot of hand railing and stuff like that for big ag companies, because there's a lot of ag building going on around here. So yeah, a lot of customers and stuff. And unfortunately in 2016 we were able to sell our powder coating business, and that kind of propelled me into getting into fabrication more. So it was a good timing and stuff.
So where were you in the fabrication world while you had your powder coating company?
Just doing some small ATV stuff as far as fabrication. When we had our powder coat business, one of the main things we did a lot of, we sponsored Root River Racing when they were going, and we did all their frames and parts and everything. So we did those frames and stuff for about 3-4 years, I believe. And that was a lot. So they always had wild colors. So and then we sold our business in 2016, and then helped the company that bought it get their new facility started. And then we started our fab business called Star Lake Fabrication, and that was in 2017. We did that until 2021, and then the COVID and all that stuff, everybody just quit coming to work. So we ended up closing it down. We had so much work, it was getting hard to manage. So I just decided to close it down, and my wife and I went and got jobs. So it easier just getting a paycheck that way. So
Were there jobs
but
out there at that point?
was that?
Were there jobs out there at that point?
Oh yeah, yeah. I could have put about 30 people to work, and we did a lot of OEM work for John Deere, Caterpillar, you name it. We were doing a lot of OEM stuff, little widgets and big parts. So it was pretty. It was a pretty cool experience, because there's a lot of companies that are that are out there that can't get in with those companies, and we got in with them, and it just we were busy, very, very busy, even through COVID. And we just couldn't find the people. The government was handing out checks. So it was kind of a sad time, but it was definitely, we were busier during COVID than anything. It was pretty wild.
I don't want to get off on a tangent, but we have the same problem. Our vendors don't have people.
Yeah.
And when they have people, they don't have material. And my brother and I work together, and we're basically all there is.
Yep.
We have an occasional daughter, niece show up to help, or we have a friend will help, but for the most part it's Lauren and I.
Yeah.
Our pops is 88 years old and still does some things, but nothing like he used to do it.
Sure. Yeah, it's a weird time. I was brought up so much different, and most people my age were, and nobody wants to work anymore. It's just weird. I like working. I like making stuff, so that's why I continue doing it. So
I work for my brother full time, and
Yep.
sometimes more than full time, but sometimes just full time. and he feeds my custom business, or my business on the side, work as often as he can. Plus I get clients to where I'm building machines for them as ordered. Usually my clients come through Duncan Racing,
Sure.
but not all. Some hunt me down through our social media or whatever it is. And then obviously I didn't think I had anything to do. I must have been bored one day, and here we are with a podcast and a media company, and pulling our hair out because there's not enough hours in the day to do it all.
Sure. Yep.
I know it's late there, or later there than it is here, but we're taping because I had to work earlier today, and like I told you, when I get done, I'm going to go out and run a machine because I don't have any other time to do it.
No, that's same here. I'm going to be machining when we're done here. So
yeah, when else, if you work for yourself, when else are you going to do it?
Yep. And I have a day job. I'm an engineer for a plastics and rubber company here, and I work my 8 hours there, and I come here and work another 8.
So explain some of the molding and stuff that you were telling me about it, but in your description of your company, you were talking about some of the things like the 3D stuff that you do. Explain a little bit about that.
Yeah. So DBR, we do a lot of 3D modeling, and basically I come up with an idea for a part or make a part for somebody else, and I'll 3D model it first, which just naturally helps the aid and the fitment and everything, because you can either 3D print it or something and test fit it before you actually put a cutter to metal and actually start making machining a part, and that's really helpful. So when we first started manufacturing parts for the ATVs, most of the stuff I just have the 4-wheeler in front of me, and I would fit it and do it the old school way, which I still do some of that, and then I refine it into the 3D modeling, and that really it just streamlines it for when we make quantities. So because then you get all your bends perfect, and everything's exact. And then if you do need to outsource something, it's easy that way, because you have it all documented and in a model.
So when you're 3D modeling something, are you like 3D printing it so it comes out in a plastic form? The part is all done in plastic, and you can touch it, bolt it on, feel it. I mean, it might be brittle, right?
So not all 3D printing is brittle. I mean, and we don't always 3D print something, so like when I say 3D modeling, like say AutoCAD or SolidWorks, for instance, I use Autodesk Fusion 360 for a lot of my stuff. And so like I'll 3D model it on a computer. And then if I want to test something, as far as fitment goes, I'll 3D print it and then test it, and then I'll machine it.
So if I want to make this widget, I can give you that widget and you can draw it for me.
Yep.
And give me a program so that I could put it into my machine and
you bet. Yep. You'll just have to set your, work coordinates and your set your tools and stuff, and then you'll be good to go.
Do you do that for people as well?
Yeah. Yep. It's part of our consulting side of our business. So you consult and build parts at the same time. Yep.
You build a lot of your stuff out of plastic, right?
Nope. A lot of it's aluminum or steel. So
okay.
Yep. Like our battery boxes are steel.
Yep.
Naturally we did a lot of testing with the battery box at the beginning when we first started making them. We tried like 14 gauge and we tried 12 gauge steel. The placement of the battery on the YFC 450R and the carbureted one for that matter, that battery gets very, very heavy when it's whipping around back there. And I had a plastic battery box fail, a stock one, and that's where that one was born. So it ripped out and it shredded my wiring harness and everything. So the 12 gauge ones, they're all right, but I went with a 10 gauge steel on the battery box, and ideally it's designed for the stock battery, and it just holds up. I mean, they get multiple seasons out of them, and they hold up. So, and that's the main thing. I mean, we could build them really light, but for motocross and stuff, it's just a bad idea.
The light is good, but for certain parts, strength matters.
Strength matters, and that particular spot for the battery, when you're going through whoop-de-doos and big jumps and stuff and braking bumps, that battery, it might only weigh 7 pounds or 6 pounds or whatever it is on a scale, but it's probably more like 50-60 pounds when it's back there. So
right.
And people don't understand that when it comes time to build stuff. So it has to be that way for a reason. So
and that the idea for the battery box comes from being a rider and an enthusiast and going out and having the failure.
Yep.
How many people like that, or how many people comment on that? I'm getting feedback from it already. It's not something that our company has ever sold, but I'm getting a lot of ear rattling going, hey, what is this? Where do I find it?
Yep. So the battery boxes, yeah, it was all built from necessity. DNFs are never fun. So, and when you got a $700 Vortex hanging around back there, and you DNF, or you have a battery box fail, I know some people put them in those toolboxes and stuff, but we make the Vortex Exo Cage, which is also built out of necessity. Just for that reason, the Vortexes, they're hard to get at times, and there's back orders for months, and then all of a sudden people are wrecking them because they're just letting them flop around, and then the little rubber strap breaks, and it's not a question of if it'll break, it's when. It's gonna. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I designed the Exo Cage, and we've sold a lot of them. It's been a good product for them. It's probably our number one seller. So,
well, I have a couple of machines out there with the ones that you've sent me, and we're actively testing one in the desert environment.
Sweet.
There's more things that you and I have discussed that will bring along out of necessity as well, that I think are going to be a good deal for the Yamaha YFC 450R people. There might be some other things that I may rattle your chain about, because we still do build quite a few Hondas. So
Yep. Yeah, I definitely take customer feedback. I enjoy it. I feed off of it, because that's, it's just going to drive you to be better. Obviously there's some things you can't do. Like I'd love to make that battery box, 2 pounds, but it just won't work. So,
when you talk to the guys that run lithium batteries that are so much lighter, do you make a version of the box that they can use with a lithium battery, or are you afraid that when it leaves the bike with a lithium battery and they put a stock battery in it, now we're going to have a problem?
And that some people are, responsible to that, if you will. They'll put the correct battery in if we do build a light one, but at the same time, you don't want to build it light, because then they sell the machine with that on there, and all of a sudden it's failing, and then DBR's got a bad name for that reason. I've never had a battery box fail, and people have broken swing arms and stuff and smashed them up into the battery box, but it saved all their electronics and stuff, and that's there's thousands of dollars back there. So it's just a very important part. I mean, if you're a pro, maybe you're getting new plastics and new pieces and stuff, you maybe don't need that. But if you're racing a whole season or 2 seasons on the same machine, it's a pretty inexpensive investment. So
yeah, I think that most of the machines that you see raced at the motocross tracks, and even a lot of the wood stuff, is different aftermarket battery boxes.
Yep. Yeah, we did have one. It was called our SC1 box. We're working on some, we're revamping it right now, and that held an SC1 anti-gravity battery, and that box and battery together were like 3 pounds total. And the original version would work great for like a TT setup, but when you start hammering whoop-de-doos and stuff, it was kind of what I call a hybrid. It was aluminum and steel mixed, and we had some good luck with it, but we did have a failure in testing, so we are revamping it. So we're going to be re-releasing that box here, and it's nice too. So one thing with that is that battery's so much smaller, and the box is so much smaller. We can run a lot bigger air filter, so naturally that helps too. And people like to run the big air filters. So
with the plastic setup piece that bolts in there, if you run like a Fuel Customs intake, you can get their box, and it gives you a basic box because you have the plastic piece. When you go to your battery box, how do you seal that area so that it's closed off?
Yeah, so some people will add like a little shroud to it, and we have a version that we're going to be coming out with to tie into that aluminum battery or air box that I showed you. So we're going to have a shroud that goes up to our battery box. So and it might come in and just kind of naturally flow together, if you will. So we have a few things in the works that are going to be pretty exciting, especially for the cross country and off-road guys. Motocross, a lot of times they're cutting their air boxes and stuff anyways, so that they're opening them up where the cross country guys want to seal that stuff. So
yeah, I don't think that the motocross guys in every aspect would want it open, but
right, in a muddy condition, they would definitely want it closed off. So
is the shroud going to be removable, or is it going to be on there all permanent?
Yep, it would be a removable setup. So it kind of a modular. You can bolt it in if you want it, or unbolt it for more airflow. So
more supposed airflow.
Yep. Not making any claims.
Right. Well, you got to be real careful nowadays because
yeah, you told me it was going to give me an extra 10 horsepower.
Right, there you go. I mean, somebody's going to say it does, somebody's going to say it doesn't, you know, and somewhere in there there's a truth, so you got to be careful.
Yep.
I live in that world. Oh boy, you know.
Yep.
That's why I like to test everything, you know, in the conversations that you and I have had. It's, you know, before I'm going to jump into selling a bunch of the stuff or diverting people a certain way, I want to make sure that I can know that it's tough, not going to have any issues.
Yep.
Get it out there in an environment where it's just going to get beat to snot, so that I can bring it back. And if there's a failure, or if there's something that we need to talk about for this reason or that reason, I can get it back to you, you know, with a diagram or whatever, and show you what's needed, or, you know, just get your input to say, hey, is this normal? Is this what we should expect? So on and so forth. Just like when you're testing in house.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we've been testing products for, it feels like my whole life. And some work out great. The scary thing is when you've tested a product in depth and it works for you every time, and you sell it to the customer and then they can't make it work.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. That's you know, back when I was racing full time, we were trying to squeeze out every ounce of power we could get, and you know, we were trying board carbs and, you know, trying to move the power to certain areas, and that just I was never a fan of the board carbs for some reason. It just, I couldn't get them to work with my motor setup, and I ended up going back to the stock because it worked in all the different temperatures, and it you know, the jetting was always spot on, and I just went back to what worked. So you know, it was like, well, no sense in trying to reinvent the wheel when what you had was working. So
Well, you didn't know it didn't work or it didn't work the way you wanted it to until you tried it.
yep, had to try it. So
there's internet guys using things that I freaking have tested multiple times, and I'm scratching my noodle going, how did they get it to work? Because I could never get it to work.
right.
And I don't think I'm dumb.
No. And it's, you know, some people will say that their machines are, you know, they have so much power. Well, then you get on it, it's like, well, where's that power at? And it's, oh, that thing runs great. It runs like crap, you know. I don't think the average person, I don't think they know. And you can tell when something's off, you know, especially if you've done it for a long time. So
yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said for the people that don't know, that don't understand what it's supposed to feel like. And
Yep.
and a lot of people don't understand that feel is very much a part of what you're doing when you're tuning suspension, when you're tuning engines.
Yep.
I know that the dyno guys are going, oh, you're full of shit. You know, it's okay, guys. You do it your way. I'm going to do it my way.
Yep.
And I'm not going to tell anybody that you're wrong. I'm just not going to tell anybody that you're right either. So,
yep.
You know, I mean, there are some brilliant guys out there doing some things that are just unbelievable in our industry now, that with the portions of the fuel injection and things like that. So you can really gain knowledge in areas that you may not have, because by no means am I the smartest guy when it comes to fuel injection. You know, I didn't start learning about it until 2006. Basically, when it came out on the LTR, we were playing with it with a couple other things to get rolling in it, but until you start, you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and Vortex, and when the Vortex ECU came out, dude, that's just cheating.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It just bypasses so much.
Yep.
And the models of machines that don't have one, God, I pity those people.
Oh, yeah. I had a Kawasaki, a KFX 450, and they didn't even have a Vortex for those things. I actually just sold it here about a week ago. and they don't have a vortex for those machines. And I was just like, well, I don't even want to deal with any of these other piggyback ones because they don't work like a vortex does. So I'm just, yeah, have fun.
There's a modification that was not very familiar where you could use the motorcycle fuel injection, where you had to do a bunch of modifications to the machine to get
Sure.
it to work. Personally, I never got to touch one, but I've spoken to people that had, and you could bolt a, plug your the motorcycle vortex into it, with some work with a less modified machine. That unit would power it, tune it, and you were good to go.
Sure.
More advanced guys, you'd have to have new curves made, new fuel maps made, but it just never caught on because you were spending astronomical dough to keep that machine cool, plus keep with if you have to adapt a new electrical system to it, that's a whole new ball of wax with modifying flywheels and new covers that need to be machined, and just thousands of dollars that the general consumer was never going to pay for on that model.
Yeah. And like you said, you're fighting to keep it cool. And the one I had, the guy that I got it from, he actually he put the fan on a switch so you could leave it on all the time, otherwise it wouldn't come on sometimes and it would overheat. And as this, my younger brother ended up buying it from me, and so he'll build it up to something. So,
but you don't like your little brother?
he wanted it the worst way, so I was like, okay, you can have it.
I tried to let my son race and develop that machine and let him race that machine.
Sure.
Sorry, Danny. I really am sorry. I apologize to you multiple times. I should have left you on the Honda all along. But we learned so much, and fortunately for me, Jimmy White was a friend, and he helped us out a bunch, and gave us some do's and don'ts, and yeah, we got away from those machines pretty much as fast as we could.
Yep. Yeah, I've got a Cannondale as well. So yeah, Leon Spinden helped me build that one. So
good thing Leon's a good dude.
Yep. When I first got the thing, it was actually set up as a 250R, had the Walsh kit on it, and has a Protrax front end on it. And then I started working on it, and I was just like, well, it's a Cannondale. It needs to have Cannondale plastics on it. It just isn't worthy to have 250R plastics on it. So we got Cannondale plastics and put those back on it. It's on I got to finish a few things on it because we actually put a Honda 450 axle in there and brakes and everything, so it's got all good brakes and whatnot. So I got to build a brake stay for it, so to get that all to work. But
does it still sound like it's eating itself?
Oh, for sure. That'll never change. It's all gear driven, and some of the things that they were doing were way ahead of their time. And then the other things, it's like, you guys run out of money at that point in your time because you really cheaped out on that. Or, it's just some of the stuff was super weird, and they're little clips to hold stuff in. And it was like, yeah, weird. So
what happens when a bicycle manufacturer starts trying to build motorsport stuff.
Yep.
Or you could be like KTM, build 3/4 of it really cool with some really cool options, and then the engineer took the rest of the time off. We think
Yep.
I don't know what they were thinking on the development of some of that machine.
Never ridden a KTM. I've always wanted to get one for my collection, but their parts are kind of hard to find. So especially you can get some of the stuff, obviously, and there's a lot of diehards. So I don't think they'd probably be that hard, but you're going to pay for them. So
yeah, you're not missing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always been a Yamaha or Honda guy myself. They just work. So
Well, they were kind of the mainstay of the industry. It's like Yamaha now is the industry. As much as it breaks my heart to say that, um, I heard a rumor through the grapevine, and I'll never say where I'm hearing this from, but I've heard a rumor through the grapevine that there is a 450 coming.
from Honda,
From somebody
sure.
that our sport quad industry is going to get a new machine. Where, when, how, not going to go there, but just
Sure.
This is what I've heard. But I've also heard other stories as well. The manufacturer that you mentioned, they have a machine legal.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it be the bean counters, whether it be legal, whether it be whoever, for some reason they're not putting it out there. I think that they're thinking that they're not going to make enough sales. The industry right now is bleeding for something, and
And being in the manufacturing, world, if they've already produced all the tooling and stuff, they're already just hemorrhaging money because they've already spent that money. So you might as well recoup it and release, because Honda could release a dud in it, they'll sell it. People will figure out a way to make it work.
dude, make the 14 again as it is.
Yep.
Maybe
Yep.
maybe make the tranny a little bit better.
Yep.
Other than that, make the same thing, and I guarantee you there's 5 or 6 guys in the motocross field, and maybe a few guys in the woods, and out west the Honda's still the best. So maybe the Honda rolls back there. Your
Yep.
desert guys are still racing Hondas. So I just can't see where Honda's not going to sell a bunch of items.
Yep. Yeah. Personally, as far as, I've had several YFZ 450Rs. I don't like working on them. They're so tight on the, in the frame area and by the throttle body and stuff. Obviously there's been a lot of improvements since I've had mine, but I always liked the carbureted Yamaha with the best. That's what I raced the most, and did really well on it. It was super easy to work on. Everything was open and easy to tune the carb. You just turn it, get your jets, and easy. So
you're definitely in a different ballpark than I am. I don't think the carbureted unit is hard to work on. I just don't think it was ever up to par for Yamaha.
Sure. Yeah, they could have did better, done better. I agree in certain things, but it was easy to make power cheap out of them. And
for the most part, I agree with that.
So
I just they were a little finicky on tune.
Sure.
To really be on your P's and Q's when it comes to tuning a Yamaha. Nothing in the industry that's carbureted likes pump gas, so you have to stay away from pump gas.
Yeah,
but other than that,
I'd pretty much run 110 in most of my stuff. So just it's so hard to get good gas. They just put ethanol in everything around here, so it's hard to find good fuel.
That's they say they're trying to do away with fossil fuels, but I just don't ever see how they can.
No, it's funny though. They've got charging stations run by diesel generators, so we could go off on a tangent there. So
I watched the deal where this guy's got his Tesla and he's parked on the side of the road and he's got a sign that says need gas. The guy pulls up on him. He says, dude, what do you mean you need gas? You need electricity. And he goes, oh, check this out. And he pops his trunk and there's a freaking Honda generator.
Oh, it's funny.
I thought that just sold a Honda generator somewhere. Great.
Yep.
Oh
Oh,
man.
it's funny.
The Lightning, I see the Lightning driving down the road, the pickup, the Ford
Sure.
pickup, and it's got a generator in the back with a charger in the side going down the freeway,
Oh boy.
charging it while they're driving. And I'm thinking, well, that's the only way you're going to get anywhere, because you're not going to, you're not going to be able to drive very long distances.
No, no, it's, the battery technology has come a long ways, but it's still not there. They can't store it long enough. And, I don't think electric is the way. I think, hydrogen would be a better solution for everything. So, and I just read something. I don't know if it was in Dirt Wheels. They put something on Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Suzuki are partnering up to build a hydrogen engine. I don't know if you've seen that too.
I didn't see that, but I know that the Toyota deal got destroyed because the amount of hydrogen that they needed to carry to make it function, the machine couldn't carry all the bottles,
Sure.
that it needed to be able to function.
Sure.
And it's just not, the technology's not there yet.
No. Yeah.
Not saying that it's not coming. What about
Sure.
that guy? Wasn't there a guy in the 60s that built the car that ran on water?
Yep. Yeah. Somehow he miraculously vanished. So.
Yeah. Well, where's that car?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yep.
Your fossil fuel stuff, it's unfortunately it's political, and we don't want to talk politics, but you just, everything that I'm looking at behind you is generated from the fossil fuel industry, and everything
everything
is generated from the fossil fuel industry.
Yep.
So, I mean, what do you want to eliminate? I mean, come on.
You're eliminating pretty much everything.
Right. And cars are not causing enough pollution in the world.
No, a volcano erupting is more pollution than we can make in a lifetime.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And the planet cleans itself in within a year?
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. It comes down in our jet stream and stuff, and some days it's like hazy as can be. And I know like the northeast, they were getting a bunch of it too. And yeah, it's like, well, one day it's super clear, the next day it's smoky again. So who knows?
Just a bunch of people from New York that have no idea what real life is like. Not the people out in the country of New York, but the New York City. These people are clueless to the real world. And I got a little smoke. Really? Come to California, dude. In the fire season,
You're right.
You're going to breathe ash and fumes all year long. So shush. I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
I mean, we're getting off on the wrong tangent. You got any new parts coming out?
So I was actually machining this tonight. This is the start of a steering stem clamp for the 400EX. Not the top models, but we definitely, that's one thing we do like doing is making parts for machines that maybe the aftermarket have stopped supporting, because people still ride them, and that's I like to make stuff that maybe hasn't been made either, and something that can be improved on. So that's one thing I'm working on now, and there'll be other models that we come out with once we prove this concept, because it's going to use a special plastic for the stem bushing itself, that helps self lubricate it. So
when you say self lubricate it, elaborate on that a little.
So it's actually a UHMW type plastic, and it's oil embedded. So as it slips, it actually releases a little bit of oil on the stem, so that it will actually stay lubricated. I'm not a big fan of grease zerks on stems, because grease attracts dirt. And
what do you use to keep the moisture from getting in? Do you have a seal system or a device that would help slow that down, because the stock bushing doesn't always do the job that it should. I mean, it does okay, but it's still something that in regular maintenance you need to pull it apart, clean it, put it back, re-grease it.
And it's just going to be part of regular maintenance. But this is going to the stock Honda design wasn't great because the pockets that it had. It was designed with like grease in mind, to pack it with grease. And that just, as soon as it, like you said, if it let anything by, it would go down in there, and it would, you'd grind on your stem. And, a lot of Honda stems have big grooves in them, from the way they're built. And this will be a smooth bore. So, this should take away a lot of any binding or anything that, would come with that. So.
Well, it's definitely something interesting, because the 450R and the 400EX are similar, if I'm not, so use the same bolt pattern.
It's a little bit different, I believe. So, and the 450, so the 400EX uses a double clamp setup where it's got the rear piece as well, where the 450R is just in the front. Then they use kind of a socket into the frame, I believe. So, the 450R will definitely be easier to make. So, but the 400EX, it'll be a 2-piece or 3 pieces. You have your bushing, and then your rear clamp, and then your front clamp. So
they're also on the 450R. They say that if you put a stem in it and you get it at the right angle with it tight, it doesn't sit in the frame.
Correct.
So you almost need to make a small piece that sits in the frame, and then you bolt it together so it
gets it.
Yeah, so it puts the stem in the correct place, so it's not in a bind.
Yep.
If you're going to make parts, I mean, come on.
Yep.
I mean, that was a harder one to design, I would think, because you have to match that dish in the frame, plus the seal that goes in there, or the bushing that goes in there.
So one thing we're actually looking at purchasing to help us with our designing is a 3D scanner, for situations like that, because to pull the geometry off of that, it's tough. So, and to get it correct, so the 3D scanner would be perfect for that application. So, and it'll help for designing new product and just fitment.
Because it's in the news so much, do you think that AI is going to have an effect on some of these parts that you make?
Maybe. I guess I don't look that far ahead into it. I guess one day at a time. So, I guess if it's going to happen, it's going to happen regardless. It's just like our phones that they're probably watching us right now. So.
Probably, you can't say they're not, I mean,
it's right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
My daughter's all into the AI thing, thinks it's the greatest thing ever, and I'm not.
When we had just put in our first robot in our fabrication business for welding, and we were going to put in a bunch of them for welding, just because of the welder. There's just people, you can't get them to do repetitive tasks anymore, and some of them aren't fun, and they're tedious. And I'm all for robots. I mean, I wish the workforce would come back and people would actually work, but I do a lot of robotic stuff at my job, end of arm tooling to pick parts and place parts and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. You can, I look at it this way: if people that are against robots, you probably are going to get left in the dust. As far as if you're in that type of like workforce, if you're working collaborative with them, you need to either be able to program them or probably get left in the dust, because it's coming.
I don't think a robot will ever be able to do what I do.
Nope. I don't think a robot can do what I do either. Because obviously I'm programming the robot, unless there was AI following everything we're doing, and
they say that AI is going to freaking replace humanity.
And the thing is, it's they watch your facial expressions and everything, and basically they'll take and write their own algorithm based on expression and start programming themselves. And it's kind of scary in a way, but I guess it is what it is.
2023 is in July is a big thing for us, and we're getting close to 300 episodes, so we're growing, and lots of things are happening, and it's a lot of fun, and we appreciate your support through the years as far as being a listener and the things that you've helped me with just in the few months that we've been together.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity for sure. So,
and I really like the fact that you corrected me during my live show. Saying the wrong thing. There's a company called CBR, right?
Oh yeah, they make radiators.
Yeah, I don't think they've made radiators for a while.
No,
they may make them for the trucks, but you did have said that for 20 years.
I used to get them from a guy out that way, Craig Wright.
Yeah.
I think he worked for him, or I was a dealer for him. I used to get them from him, so they were good. I think they took over. What was the other one? PWR.
Yep.
I think they took over PWR. So.
Yeah, there's a whole backstory to that.
Oh yeah.
I got bits and pieces of it, but I don't know what's true, what isn't true.
Yep.
I mean, we've been doing it a long time. We know a lot of things that a lot of people don't know, and you don't always know all of it, but you know enough.
Yep, for sure.
The team here at ATV-TALK would love your feedback. Please email us at hello@atvtalkpodcast.com. If you're in need of a consultation for your current racing program, a custom ATV, or an industry guest speaker, I have the company for you. Duncan Technologies International Inc. offers host, MC, and guest speaking services at events. Builds custom ATVs for recreational riding or racing around the world. And they offer consulting services for professional teams or individual racers. Send inquiries to duncantechinternational@gmail.com or call 619-716-1532 for more information. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to share us with your family and friends. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, and you can find us on social media as ATV-TALK Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter.